Approval of minutes of the November 16th, 2020 board meeting. Do I have a motion? Mr. Lovelace?
I move that we approve the minutes of the November 16th, 2020 board meeting.
Is there a second? Ms. Gardner seconds. All those in favor of approving the minutes? 7 and 0. Item 10, approval of the minutes of the November 30th, 2020 special call meeting.
I'll be glad to do that.
You can do that, Mr. Lovett.
Good for something, huh? Approval of the minutes of the November 30th, 2020 special call board meeting. I make a motion that we approve that.
Is there a second? Ms. Gardner seconds. All those in favor of approving the minutes of that meeting on December 2nd, 2020. That was 7-0. And now it is public participation.
No, we got one more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I turned the page too soon. You'd think I'd get that right. Number 11, approval of the minutes of December 2nd, 2020 special call meeting. Is there a motion?
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm, Mr. Lovelace. You've got it down.
Approval, I make the motion that we approve the minutes of the December 2nd, 2020 special call board meeting.
And is there a second? Ms. Huddle seconds. And all those in favor of approving the minutes for that, that'll be 7 and 0. Now, see, it was just too many meetings there together. It didn't work right. Public participation, though, we are ready for that. And I know there are many people that want to speak. And please forgive me if I pronounce the name wrong, but I hope I will not do that. We have Caitlin Brooke Stubbs. Oh yeah, I need to read that now. I don't have it. All right. I have something I have to read, but I know you're not going to do this, so I'm not even worried about you. It's our board welcomes and encourages public participation. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures and the decorum provided in Board Policy BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Questions asked during the public participation will be handled in accordance with Board Policy BEDH. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Stubbs, and I am grateful to be able to speak to you about redistricting my neighborhood away from Chapin. Our family has lived in Rolling Creek for the last 13 years. I am the 4th Stubbs to come through Chapin High School. I have loved that people know who I am because of my brother and sisters. And thankfully, most of it's been good. My brother was a 2-time state qualifier wrestler, and my sisters were known for how tiny they are, 4'7" and 4'9". I have been a proud Chapin cheerleader for the last 3 years, and I am a hardworking honor student. As a freshman, I desperately want to finish my time at Chapin High School. I can't imagine cheering the name of any other school, wearing any other colors, and going into a new school as a stranger. I have been honored to be a part of Chapin High School. The teachers are amazing, the staff is kind, the colors, they're my colors, and the school is my home away from home. In addition to worrying about myself, I want you to know more about my family. We are a foster family who has had 41 children in our Rolling Creek home. We have a 15-month-old right now, and we are hoping to adopt him. I want him to have the privilege of walking into Chapin High School, carrying the Stubbs name, and feeling like Chapin is home the way I was able to do. He still has 14 years before he is able to walk into that school and be a proud Chapin Eagle like his big brother and sisters. He already has Chapin blood running through his veins, just like I did before walking through those doors. He has grown up attending Chapin basketball games, Chapin football games, Chapin wrestling tournaments, and Chapin cheerleading competitions. I want him to walk into the same school in 14 years, known as a Stubbs, and continuing the legacy we have set for him. Chapin High School has a standard that we all want to be a part of. I know I'm just a kid, But I do not understand how changing this neighborhood away from Chapin would make such a big difference in the overpopulation problem. But what I do understand is the difference Chapin High School has made for me and my family. Chapin is who we are. We are Chapin.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good job. She's an excellent speaker. Next is it Paul Siegel? Did I say that wrong? Thank you.
You did well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can't top that. Not going to try. My name is Paul Zeal. I live in the Rolling Creek subdivision, and I'm the proud father of 4 children that are in the Chapin cluster. During the day, I serve as a professor in civil, mechanical, environmental engineering, and as the Associate Dean for Research in the College of Engineering and Computing at the University of South Carolina. It is important to make it clear that the views expressed by me are my own and do not reflect the views of the University of South Carolina. I pose 3 questions from a book by Jim Ryan. The first question is, wait, what? The second question is, what really matters? And the third question is, how can I help? The first question is really a way of asking for clarification. In reading the redistricting study, it became apparent that the source of the model inputs was not clear. Therefore, the outputs from the study cannot, in my opinion, be understood. Is there a need for redistricting at all? This is not clear and is not directly addressed in the study. I will mention that birth rates have experienced a steep decline after the recession of 2008, and the decline has continued. This means that for grade 4 and under, on average, 15% fewer students will move through schools. Current 45-day Chapin cluster enrollments support this trend and in fact show a 25% decline overall in enrollment from grade 4 to kindergarten among the feeder schools in the Chapin cluster. Question 2 is what really matters. The answer is preserving the health and well-being of our children. The children of Rolling Creek have established a sense of identity in this cluster. I think we just heard that. They are people with friends, siblings, teachers, and coaches in the Chapin cluster. Rolling Creek is a very small subdivision with very few children. The 14 children that would potentially attend Chapin High at any one time would make up far less than 1% of the enrollment. Furthermore, Rolling Creek children should not be displaced by the estimated 100 plus children who attend Chapin High through choice or other means. A Freedom of Information Act has been filed on this topic on November 9. We patiently await a reply. Question 3 is, how can I help? I've been blessed with a wonderful education and a very interesting job. I enjoy the analysis of trends in complex data and projections of the future based on those trends. Please let me know if I may be of assistance with what are bound to be very difficult decisions regarding the well-being of children in Lexington Richland 5. Thank you for your time. I wish you all a merry and very blessed Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is it Sean Mills?
Good evening, board members, elected officials, fellow citizens. I have a couple of concerns. One is in relation to, of course, returning to school, whether it be virtual, hybrid, or in person. I wanted to read off some facts, and since we're all about science, taken from the CDC, from DHEC, and from other healthcare experts in the fields. And before I forget, I want to encourage the school board members to not just be merely elected officials going forward. Please be leaders in our community. Please do not go with the ebbs and the flows of a few. Please hold your ground, and we need consistency for our children going forward. So I encourage you guys to be leaders, not elected officials. First of all, I want to quote Dr. Fauci recently. On 30 November, he said, close the bars, keep the schools open. Dr. Fauci, from what everybody understands, is the top infectious disease expert in the country. Why water down our sources from there? I understand we have to go by DHEC to a certain extent, but if the top infectious disease expert is saying to keep the schools open, why are we going in another direction? Quoting him as well, if you look at the data, the spread from child to child is not very big at all. That's his direct quote. And again, he has various quotes, 17 November, before and after Thanksgiving, even as recently as 30 November, quoting this. For those that weren't around, I've had a child that's graduated school, and I have another one that's an 8th grader at Chapin Middle right now. In 2009, we had the H1N1. This is off the CDC website. It was our first flu pandemic in 40 years at the time. 80% of those deaths were ages 65 years or younger, the polar opposite of this one. After about a year, we had 61 million cases in the United States. This is directly off the CDC site. I pulled it a few minutes ago just to make sure it didn't change since 2009. Do you know how many cases we have now? 11 months into this, if you go by the first case on January 21st documented in Washington, we have 16.5 million cases in the United States. We're nowhere near 61 million cases. Also, that particular pandemic had a higher propensity to be spread among children. We're going in the opposite direction with something that is, yes, it is killing people. I acknowledge that, obviously. But it has a propensity to kill those that are 75 or older as opposed to the younger generation that we're keeping out of school. And finally, I want to end on a little bit of education on mask wearing. I don't disagree necessarily with the people that pulled me aside, called me out, or even mentioned I wasn't wearing a mask. However, I'd like to say, if you go to the CDC site, we also have people that are wearing N95 masks, surgical masks, and valve masks. The CDC actually does not recommend those. And so there's two things I want to end on really quickly. We need to educate our children on how to wear the mask if you're going to require them to wear them in schools. Because if they improperly wear the PPE, you're going to enhance the spread anyway. And the last thing is we need consistency. If we are going to go all virtual, you don't need to pull the rug from your teachers and parents, because we sense the frustration in our teachers and pull the rug on them again and have us go back and forth, bounce back and forth between virtual and in person.
Thank you, Mr. Mills.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for letting me go over.
Yes. And next is Hugh Ryan.
It's good to see everybody again. I really don't know what to think, to be honest with you. I guess I'll know in a little bit here, but a lot of people wanted me to be here tonight, really didn't have time. I said it's time to come back. The goalposts keep moving. That's how we feel, a lot of us feel. The goalposts keep moving, okay? I love sports, okay? Here's my son, front page of the state newspaper with Coach Pelham. Won a state title, won 3 state titles at Dutch Fort, won 1 baseball state championship. Tom Knotts and Nick Pelham are 2 of the greatest inspirations in his life. He's playing football at Furman University right now because of Dutch Fork High School football. Why am I saying that? Because I'm all for sports, but I'm not for hypocrisy and I'm not for semantics. And a lot of us are getting tired of this. You know, we say the high school league. Well, I called former Chairman Cates this past summer because the district wouldn't let the football team practice. That was a district decision. It's a high school league decision. So I'm all for it. If the data supports it, I am 100% for it. If the data says go virtual, I'm 100% for it. I wear my mask. I believe in all those things if it's about safety, but there's so many agendas that we feel like are floating in here. And again, show us the data. A lot of us, I'm a reasonable person. I look at data, I analyze it, we'll do it. But last time we had to dance around this thing about staffing. It was staffing. It's not health and safety. That's where there's a difference between, sports and regular school. Ms. Hull, you made a beautiful motion. You called that out, okay? Because everybody said y'all said it was staffing, but district people came up here and said it was because we need social distancing. You can't social distance on a football field. I saw all those pictures and all from the state championship game. I'm so happy for those young men. My son played with some of those guys. But come on. There's no social distancing. That's 80 guys face to face, and then they get quarantined and whatever else. I mean, it's just not consistent. And again, we can dance around it all we want to, but it's not, it is what it is. And the last thing, we're obviously running out of time here. The last thing I want to say is we want y'all to run our district. We elected y'all. A lot of us put lots of time and energy into this, getting a lot of y'all elected. And I don't want 120 teachers or whoever else running this district. We're seeing it again. I mean, and I'll say this to the teachers out there. There's the 2,000 teachers that didn't walk off the job. Thank you so much. And we're fighting for face-to-face because you teachers, y'all are awesome. That's why we want to be in the classroom, because of how great the teachers are. Give them their bonus. Let's try to get them a raise somehow. I'll be willing to go to that state house every day this next session to lobby for a raise for these teachers. We love you, teachers. But we cannot let unions and lobbyist outfits run this district. That is not fair to our children. Our children are not used to be leveraged for a game that involves a lot more than just these issues we're talking about. So please, as this gentleman said back here, be leaders. Being leaders is tough. It is really tough. Thank y'all for stepping up to this challenge. Thank you for it. But please, let's base this on data. Let's show leadership and not let just the loudest few sometimes, and it's a few, control the agenda. And somebody said that we're just a loud group. No, we're not. On Election Day on November the 3rd, 30,000 people spoke out loudly. This isn't some fringe, loud group. So thank y'all.
Time's up. Thank you, though. Next is Jessica Bauer.
Good evening, School District 5. My name is Jessica Bauer. I teach at Chapin Middle School, and one of my favorite things about my job is that I get to be a teacher in the district's middle level intervention program. That just means that some of my students need some additional reading support. As you can imagine, it can be challenging to ask 12 and 13-year-olds to do something every day that's hard for them. It's not unusual for my first invitations to read to be met with rather loud groans. Last Monday, one of those previously groaning students told me that he had finished a book. It was the first in a series, and he needed a copy of the second. So on Tuesday, between our great school library and my classroom library, I was able to loan him a copy of the second book to start in class and take home for his distance learning days. I also gave him copies of the third and fourth just to be safe, because you don't want kids running out of things to read. He logged into our meet on Wednesday, not even a full 24 hours after starting the second book, and announced that he had finished it. And then he added he hadn't just finished the second one, but he had finished the third and the fourth as well. That's 3 books in one day, read by a middle school boy who just 3 months ago made sure that I knew he did not want to read anything. The middle level intervention program was built by District 5 teachers with the support of district instructional staff and with the support and encouragement of Dr. Milton, first in her role as Chief Instructional Officer and now as our superintendent. They trusted teachers as professionals who knew their content and as people who loved the kids in their rooms. And they gave us a space to build something that we knew would work for our kids. Those books that I sent home from my classroom library were purchased with funding approved for middle level intervention by a board that respected the expertise of instructional staff, school level administrators, and classroom teachers, and trusted them to know what would work best in schools. This story shows what we can do when we value each other, when we respect each other, and when we trust each other to each do our part and play our unique roles in our shared student success. That is the beautiful thing about being in public education. It's that when we do that, we can change lives. I am thankful to serve here in an excellent district, and I am proud of the very small part that I get to play in that excellence. I look forward to continuing that work under the inspiring and innovative leadership of Dr. Milton and her executive staff, alongside all of my amazing colleagues, and in partnership with each of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Amy Carter.
Good evening. My name is Amy Carter. I am both a teacher and a parent in the district. First, thank you very much for supporting the recommendations, the recent recommendations that Dr. Melton has brought to you so that we can be responsive for what's happening on the ground in schools. Also, thank you very much for the consideration of the appreciation bonus for all District 5 employees. We are very grateful for that. Now, I have a question for you. What are the best practices and strategies that you would suggest that I use to help reach my most struggling readers in my co-taught English class? It's a simple question with a complex answer. Was that question or the terminology foreign to you? Do you know what it means to teach a co-taught class in a high school environment? Do you have the training to answer that question? The superintendent is my instructional and operational leader. Dr. Melton is a responsive one. She listens to my feedback and she invites it. She's able to entertain, discuss, and answer my questions within the context of District 5 because she has specific instructional training and experience to do so. Her responses will be able to address the richness and complexity of what it means to teach in room 228, my classroom, each day. I have 100 students and I teach 4 very different curriculums. My ask this evening is very simple. Please allow instructional and operational decision-making to remain in the hands of Dr. Melton and her staff. Doing so means that you are supporting a superintendent who has broad and specific understanding of my needs. Doing so also means that you are supporting her highly qualified staff, that is in tune with what is actually happening on the ground in schools. Doing so means that we are not like other districts around us. We are leaders in this state led by a great leader. Her track record and ours is exceptional. My school board is here to establish a vision for our schools that reflects a consensus of the board, the community, and the district staff. To strike any language of or the superintendent from any policy sends a message to Dr. Melton that her expertise is not wanted or important. And by proxy, the message that comes to me, because I've been invited to give my input, is also that my input is not valued or important. The superintendent's voice and representation needs to be part of the instructional and operational decision-making. If it's not there, we begin to chip away at what we called informed consensus. Thank you so much for listening to me tonight.
Thank you. Next is Greg McGlohorn.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board and Dr. Melton, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Greg McGlohorn. My wife Ashley and I have lived in Rolling Creek subdivision for the past 14 years. We have 3 children, 2 boys ages 14 and 12, as well as a little girl who's 5 and I think going on 15 right now. Our 2 oldest children, Banks and Brooks, both attended Ballantyne Elementary, which was a great school. However, after elementary school, most of their friends ended up in the Dutch Fork cluster, while they began attending Chapin Intermediate School. This meant that in addition to starting intermediate school, they also had to adjust to a different set of schoolmates. However, we knew that would be the case, which is why we involved them in the Chapin community at an early age through sports, recreational, and other community activities. Now, my oldest son, Banks, is getting ready to start high school next year. I'd hate to uproot him from his schoolmates yet again, which is what would happen if the proposed redistricting is enacted. Also, Brooks is very excited about attending Chapin Middle School next year with his friends, which is just a few short minutes down the road from our house. I don't want him to have to start middle school as if he were a new student who just moved here from out of town. Both of my sons are worried about having to change school clusters yet again this far into their academic careers, and the same goes for all their school-age neighbors. I truly understand the issues that your redistricting efforts are trying to resolve. I know that you're trying to do what you think is best for the school district. I have to admit that even though I think Ballantyne Elementary School is a great school, I've often wondered why Rolling Creek's children weren't zoned to attend Lake Murray years ago. That way you would have had consolidation versus dispersion as they grew older and moved on to middle school. However, be that as it is, we are where we are today, and when I look at the proposed maps, it doesn't appear to me that the very small polygon that includes Rolling Creek would move the needle very much at all regarding overall attendance numbers. Therefore, I would request that you consider proceeding with the necessary redistricting at the elementary school level in order to accommodate the new elementary school, but please do not redistrict middle school and high school clusters at this time. To me and my family at least, any benefit to doing so would be negligible compared to the impact on our children. I thank you for listening, not just to me though, but also to the 150 plus other residents and voters within Rolling Creek subdivision who all signed a petition to keep to keep Rolling Creek in the Chapin cluster. I appreciate your time and your leadership, and if I have just a couple more minutes, the other thing I would like to say is just a tip of the cap to all the school teachers out there. Just like doctors, nurses, dental assistants, police officers, EMT technicians, and other professionals, they simply cannot do their job without interacting with people. It kind of comes with the job, so I thank them very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Deanna Burley.
Always so short. I'm sorry. Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I know 3 minutes probably doesn't seem hardly enough time to share all of my thoughts on the current district challenges. So I guess I made a list. We'll see how far I get. First of all, as a parent involved in my local schools, I want to thank you for being willing to address the teacher's bonus issue. While I also advocate that they should receive their step increases, I acknowledge that's a state-level battle, and I, along with my fellow teachers and my fellow parents, will continue fighting for that battle because we know, teachers, you deserve it. Secondly, I want to thank you, Dr. Melton, and your staff for providing the dashboard for COVID cases and quarantines. I truly believe that this data is going to help us be able to come together so we can clearly see what's going on in our schools, where before we didn't really have insight, we just heard rumors. The only question that I have, and I hope that you guys were able to kind of talk about this in your reentry, is the differences we had between the quarantines and the actual cases. It seems pretty astronomical. I didn't expect to see that big of a divide. And so if you wouldn't mind kind of digging into that and maybe just paint us the picture so we can just understand a little bit better. Third, I, like many in our district, watched the last school board meeting, and the clarity that you brought for the request for hybrid was tied to our substitute teacher issue. I know that there were really good reasons to outsource the procurement to Kelly Services. However, I think it may be time to rethink our relationship with them because we know that the daily rates the subs are given is not competitive to neighboring districts. So we may very well be losing out to great substitutes because other districts are paying them more. And I know that part of that fee is going to Kelly Services, so maybe we just need to think about that. Also, based on rumors that I've heard of people who have applied, Kelly Services isn't being very good about replying to their applicants. So maybe we need to put some more pressure on, if you get an application, you need to be following up with those potential teachers. Lastly, I'm also here to advocate, once again, for my children's need for face-to-face education. Since we have returned to 4 days, and of course I have elementary students, so they were the first ones to return, my daughter, who has become very confident in math, which has always been a struggle for her. And from a virtual environment, she just can't seem to learn in that way. And so now that she is doing more complex things, she needs to have that instruction face-to-face. Also, my son is actually receiving differentiated learning. In the virtual environment, that's not really something that could happen easily or at all. Either the teacher is going to stay with the lower struggling individuals holding back the rest of the class, or she's going to move on, letting those stragglers just to stay down there. And so I am thankful that our teachers are once they're face to face, they can start thinking through that. So thank you for this time. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you. Next is Alicia Klauk.
My name is Alicia Klauk. I am a parent member of the Spring Hill School Improvement Council, and I am just here to thank the leadership of District 5 for the blessing of Spring Hill. I have 5 children that are past or current students. My family is in the back corner. I have a daughter that was in the first class that graduated after attending all 4 years. My daughter Serenity graduated last year. I have twin sons who are juniors and a son who is a freshman. So we are a diehard Spring Hill family. Serenity wanted to tell you a little bit about her experience at Spring Hill.
So like my mom said, my name is Serenity, and I graduated from Spring Hill in 2020, this past year. I'm currently a freshman at Anderson University. I'm a secondary mathematics education major, and I am a teaching fellow and also the president of my teaching fellows cohort, and I will hold that position until I graduate. Spring Hill meant a lot to me in my life. I chose to come to Spring Hill because of the culture that has been created because of choice. It's school of choice. It means that there's an energy coming into the school. We get to walk through the halls and know that we all want to be there. Additionally, my dream is to come back and teach at Spring Hill. I would love to come back and teach algebra to my alma mater. Yeah, I'm just very thankful, and I want to come back because it is school of choice and because I would get to teach those that want to be learning in an environment in which they all want to be there. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we're proud to see that you're going to be a teacher coming back. That's wonderful. Catherine Ramp.
Hello, friends. Can y'all hear me? All right, sweet. Hey, I'm Catherine Ramp, and I've been in this district for a while, first as a student, starting at Seven Oaks Elementary, all the way through graduation at Irmo High School. Second, as a teacher at Dutch Fork High School, and now as a parent of a kindergartner at Chapin Elementary. So I've kind of been like across the clusters, just I get around. I shouldn't have said that. Okay. I've also spent a good deal of time outside of District 5. I taught at a small private school on the island of St. Martin. I taught in a suburban school district similar to this one in Columbia County, Georgia. And I taught in one of the largest school districts in the United States, Fulton County Schools. In all of those learning settings, big or small, I have yet to find a district that is as thoughtful and responsive to the needs of stakeholders as Lexbridge 5. I have never seen a superintendent who is as visible, as smart, and as trustworthy as Dr. Christina Melton. She's a listener, and she inspires me every day to become a better listener myself. I've also never seen a leader who raises people up and celebrates them as much as she does. She is an incredible leader, and she surrounds herself with leaders of the same caliber. I remember the first time Dr. Melton retweeted something that I posted about my lesson in my classroom. I ran into my living room and told my husband, "Oh my God, the superintendent just retweeted me." I didn't realize that this is something that she does to everybody because she looks for the good and she celebrates it and she acknowledges it. And I would like to pay that love and kindness forward and acknowledge some of the people who have made this crazy semester work out, rain or shine, Google or no Google. I believe everyone deserves to be seen and acknowledged for good work. I would like to start by thanking the parents and the students of District 5. Many of you have had to step up and help your students in ways that you haven't had to before. And I thank you for that. It takes a village, and we are each other's village. Thank you for giving teachers grace as we relearn how to deliver our lessons in a new format. I would like to thank all of the tech-savvy teachers who help out their fellow teachers, and I would like to thank all the teachers who are not tech-savvy, but who are still showing up every day and trying their best to be as an effective teacher on Google Meet as they are in the classroom. I would like to thank the folks who work in nutrition and make sure that our kids never skipped a beat in getting fed. I want to thank our custodians who keep our schools safe and clean. I want to thank the nurses. You guys are absolute rock stars and do not get nearly as much credit as you deserve. I would like to thank the administration at Dutch Fork High School, but honestly at every school, because I know how hard and how late all of you administrators have been working in order to make sure that we all stay on track. And I would like to thank guidance counselors because, woo, all that scheduling. And I would like to thank Dr. Christina Melton and all the executive staff at the district office for your constant and tireless effort in order to make this semester as normal as it can be. Your efforts do not go unseen. And finally, a thank you to the board for answering the thousands of emails from your stakeholders that have flooded your inboxes over the last few months, especially for our new trustees who have stepped into a tsunami. We appreciate you and thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Gear, did I say that right?
Good evening. My name is Dr. Lauren Gare, and I am a teacher and assistant varsity cheerleading coach at Dutch Fork High School. There are two things that I want to address tonight. The first is about cheerleading. On behalf of Dutch Fork varsity cheerleading head coach Kelly Edrington and Chapin varsity cheerleading coaches Vicki and Billy Williams, I would like to invite all of y'all to tune in to our socially distanced state cheerleading competition this Saturday at the Florence Civic Center. In a complicated and, dare I say, unprecedented season for Dutch Fork and Chapin Cheer, we were both lucky enough to qualify to compete for the state title again this year. Both of our programs, and especially our athletic trainers, have worked tirelessly to ensure our girls would have an opportunity to safely compete for this title. So please think about tuning in and cheering for our cheerleaders for a change this Saturday. I would also like to take this opportunity to share my support as well for this district. I've taught for 11 years, and I have been at 3 different schools and in 3 different school districts. Throughout my career, I have searched for 2 things: community and leadership, and I have luckily found both in Lexington Richland 5. My Fox family and the community of Dutch Fork is unlike anything that I have ever experienced. I wake up every morning. Well, let me rephrase that. After I get my toddler dressed and to preschool, I wake up every morning excited to go to work, because that's a process, to go to work, and I am lucky enough at Dutch Fork to teach with the best teachers and the best administration in the state of South Carolina. And so it is a blessing to finally have found my people at Dutch Fork. I have also found the leadership I've always searched for in Dr. Gary and Dr. Melton. Dr. Gary leads our school with a listening ear and a dedication to education. We Foxes knew before the state told him so that he was the best high school principal in South Carolina. And so he is the principal that I have been searching for my whole career, and literally makes me excited to go to work every day. And he's going to die of embarrassment that I'm saying this, because he is a very humble man. Also to Dr. Melton, to simply put it, she is a queen. She reminds me of all the women that have made me want to be a teacher and made me want to change lives. In the short time that I have known her, she has shown me that she is a mother, she is a grandmother, a beloved grandmother, a former competitive cheer mom herself, a teacher, a principal, a superintendent, and a leader. She always says, to know thy impact. Well, lucky for us, she is our impact. She is the one that is going to draw all of these excited teachers to come to our district and say, I want to be like her. I want to teach in a district that is led by her and can recruit all of these wonderful people to be on this board of trustees with her. If you guys haven't noticed, the eyes of South Carolina are on us. Teachers and residents alike are looking to us. I think even before this year, they look to us to see, what is Lex 5 going to do? What are they going to do with their future? Well, let's show them. Let's show them what we're going to do, and let's show them that we are the best school district in South Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you tell us the time to tune in on Saturday for the cheer?
The competition starts at 6 o'clock. We go on at 6:07, I think, and Chapin shortly after.
Thank you.
Check the high school league website.
Gotcha.
Go Foxes.
Thank you. I'm a cheer coach in the past. Raina Floyd.
I asked her to move the mic for me, but she forgot. Hey y'all, I am a teacher and a parent, but tonight I'm here to speak on behalf of my children. Not the ones that I get to teach, but the ones that I get to raise. So first, I'd like to share that my twins are part of the 5 experience, and so I don't really know where all the decisions get made, but I want to thank the board, Dr. Melton, her staff, whoever came up with the idea of doing this. Thank you so much. I wasn't quite sure what going back to school would look like for 6-year-old little twins, and they are thriving. It looks like complete chaos in my house every single day, where English is in one room and then they move to the other room. We haven't quite gotten the cleaning everything up as we go from subject to subject, but they're learning and they feel loved and they feel seen. So thank you for that opportunity. My oldest is also participating in 5, is an 8th grade boy. He is not quite as excited. I think he wanted to interact with more girls this year. That does not happen virtually. He did get the opportunity to experience playing football in his 8th grade year, so thank you for that decision. It was a very safe experience until it was not, so his season was cut short, but he did appreciate the opportunity to play. I had requested for him to return to face-to-face hybrid in February, and the very next day the decision was made to go from hybrid to 4 days, and that made me feel very uneasy. I told him that we would look at the data and continue to keep an eye on the numbers, and we might change our mind with that. A lot of that has to do with the third thing I wanted to discuss, which was trusting the trained professionals, not just Dr. Melton, but also the staff that works with her. I know that there's a lot of moving pieces in the district, not just within the high school versus intermediate, middle, and the elementary, but as a parent, I would feel much more confident in sending him back to face-to-face if I knew that when a recommendation was put forth to either switch from 4 days to virtual or 4 days to hybrid or whatever is needed for a short period of time, not a forever thing. Like, this is not forever. The pandemic's not going to last forever, y'all, but like a short period of time, whatever needs to be done in the best interest of students and of the people who take care of them on campus, I would feel safer and more comfortable sending him back. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Melissa Washington Gary.
Good evening. I have 2 sons, one who attends Dutch Fork Middle School and one who attends Dutch Fork High School. I moved to the area 4 years ago so that my children could attend the award-winning Dutch Fork schools. 2 of his teachers are back there. It's important for me to frame for you that my comments are based on fact, not speculation, not rumor, nor political interest, and I speak only for myself. I am the daughter of a current school board member in another Midlands district, and I'm a former human resources director in another South Carolina public school district. I understand the role of the board and the role of district leadership. I'm not here to express an opinion regarding the hybrid model or returning students to school 5 days a week. I'm here to express my disappointment in which the superintendent's initial recommendation on this topic was handled by the board. In addition, the overall lack of support and reckless comments made regarding the district administration and teachers have been concerning and embarrassing. In my opinion and experience, if there are true and legitimate concerns with the district administration, those concerns are discussed in a professional manner in private in executive session. I was sorely disappointed as a constituent to read the comments made by a board member recently to a teacher's concern. That board member later apologized for her word choices, but then I learned that she later responded to a student's email, again blaming the school and district administration for not doing their job during the pandemic. Not only was that board member completely out of line by blaming the district, she was not factual in any of her statements. She had not visited the school, for which she was making false statements about, and in the email, she was clearly not listening to the superintendent who does visit all of the schools. I want to make sure this board knows the facts regarding the current superintendent that some of you are really appearing to attack professionally. Dr. Melton has led with decorum and compassion, and has attracted and promoted top-level talent in this district. She has over 25 years' experience as an educator. She is a former principal and former district administrator of the year, and she is one of the best and most highly respected superintendents in this state. This is who some of you are attempting to micromanage and demean in public. I want you all to really educate yourselves on everything she's done for this district and where all of your constituents stand. I also want the board to know the caliber of teachers that are employed in this district. The comments made regarding teachers wanting to be paid while they stay at home was extremely demeaning, shallow, and ill-placed. I will only speak for what I know to be facts, so this is limited to the Dutch Fork area. I have personally seen these teachers well beyond the 37.5-hour work weeks for which they are paid, especially during this pandemic. I have seen my son's teachers reach out to them over the weekend to conduct Google Meets and at night to reinforce the lesson for an upcoming quiz. I have received emails from these teachers if they see the slightest difference in my child's work or demeanor to make sure they are okay because they truly care. These are the types of teachers who were offended by those comments. It is important that board members hear from all constituents and not a minority of people from one specific geographic area as you serve for all of us. I encourage you all to conduct your own research before following an agenda that someone else has laid out for you. Please pass Board Policy BCC, the process for addressing board member violations. I strongly encourage the board to adopt this policy, implement it, and in a spirit of accountability, which you all like, follow up with your constituents as to what has been executed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Price.
Hello.
Hello.
I didn't know if you guys have seen this, but Molly Spearman just came out in support of. Spearman said that despite the recent surge in coronavirus cases, the spread inside the schools is around 4%. When asked if that data is accurate, Spearman reiterated that students are safe. That was at 7:20, so you probably haven't seen that yet.
Thank you.
I really wasn't coming to talk about 5 days face-to-face or any of that kind of stuff. I'm actually coming to advocate for some teachers. My daughter goes to CES. Mr. Hutchinson, her teacher, Miss Livingston, they're all doing a great job. I have no complaints whatsoever. The 4 days a week is working. I understand the reason for the Wednesday. Several of you have seen my emails. I really want to advocate for them. I think Wednesdays, at least for those of us with elementary school age kids, Wednesdays, I'd like to see maybe a packet come home to me to let me do the work with my child and give the teachers that don't have time throughout the 4 days that they're in classes, give them time to do the things that they aren't able to do during those 4 days. The planning, the IEP meetings, I'm not a teacher, but you know what I mean. The stuff that is outside of the actual teaching of the kids. You know, I really think that every little thing that we can do to help them, the small things will help them and make them feel more appreciated by you guys, by us as parents, by everybody, just to give them time. And another thing, and I did say some of the other things, and this comes from my teacher friends, other people that have reached out to me because I run a social media page that all of you are aware of, is like the professional development type stuff that they're required to do. A lot of this is they're learning on the fly. They have literally, started teaching virtually that they had never done before. To me, that's professional development. There are little things that we can do as a community to help them along the way. So I just want to advocate for teachers. I think everybody's doing the best they can. I have zero complaints, like I said. I think the hybrid model in the high school, I don't have a high school student. I have a high school niece, 2 of them, one in a different district. I think it works pretty well for them, at least in their case, not for everybody. We can't make everybody happy. I realize that for you guys. I appreciate all that you're doing. I'm very sorry for all the nasty emails that I know you guys are getting because it's not fair, because we're all human beings and we're all in this together. So that was it. I wanted to advocate for those teachers that are making a huge difference in our students' lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie Goodman.
Hello, my name is Debbie Goodman, and I'm a retired teacher from District 5, and I'm a resident of this district. I'm very concerned about the direction in which this board is going. The fact that the board is even considering taking away the duties and responsibilities of our superintendent is very scary and concerning. By doing this, you as a board are not abiding by the South Carolina School Board Association guidelines. This is surprising since you were just provided training Wednesday. Now, I know that not necessarily all of you are supporting that. The superintendent is the CEO and must be allowed to run the schools. This is what she was hired to do. All eyes are on District 5 to see if they will do the right thing. We also do not need outside committees to be formed. Again, this is what the superintendent needs to do and what she was hired to do. I know some of you are saying that this is to keep the superintendent accountable, but you can keep her accountable without taking away her responsibilities. We currently have an exceptional superintendent with Dr. Melton, who is highly educated and extremely qualified. It is responsibility of the board to research and interview qualified candidates, and we were fortunate enough to have Dr. Melton already here in our district as a proven leader. It makes no sense to not trust her and not let her do the job she was hired to do. I implore you to think long and hard about this before you vote to change. I can assure you the majority of the people who voted for some of you had no idea that you would come in and do this kind of thing. We are currently a top district in the state, but it will not stay that way if this happens. No one will want to teach here, and certainly no one will want to work in administration here if they are not trusted. If we lose Dr. Melton, I can assure you no one will want to work for a district whose board wants to micromanage them. I am also very concerned that you want to also consider changing, oops, it's the glasses time, also wants to change the policy to allow the board to remove another board member without misconduct concerns, and just because you choose to. Again, this is against the SCSBA guidelines. And finally, on behalf of the majority of parents and taxpayers in the district, we thank you, Dr. Melton, for the exceptional leadership you have shown, and we ask the board to let Melton lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goodman. Jamie Harrington.
Five years ago, I had my son. 2.5 years ago, I had my daughter. We decided we needed a bigger house, so we moved from the Richland School District to Lexrich 5. Everyone said what a great school district it was. A couple months later, I was hired by Dutch Fork High School. Everyone said what a great school it was. Everyone was right. It is a great district, and I'm lucky to be at a great school. Being great doesn't just happen. It takes great leadership. From our wonderful teachers, our fantastic administrators, to the top-notch leadership at our district office, we have something really special here. Other districts are chomping at the bit to get what we have. Our superintendent, Dr. Melton, has faced some hard choices lately. And I thank Dr. Melton and the board for making a very tough choice to bring us back to hybrid. I implore you to trust Dr. Melton and her leadership. Because of her vision to bring us back to hybrid, my classes are better able to social distance. And I've seen firsthand how the hybrid model has possibly helped curb the spread of COVID-19. We must remember that this model will not be here forever. Teachers want to be 5 days face-to-face, but we want this when it's safe to do so. Lexrich 5 is one of the top districts in the state. We are a top district because of our strong leadership, and we as teachers will not let you down. I promise you that. We are constantly having to change up our model, but I guarantee you these teachers are going home and working in the evenings so that when we come back, we've got something that we can present to our students that is better than we thought that we could do. When people ask where I work, I answer with pride, District 5 of Lexington and Richland counties. I truly have pride in 5. Thank you so very much for your time. Stay safe and have a blessed holiday season.
Thank you. Kim Weber.
Good evening, Chairwoman Hammond, board members, and Dr. Melton. My name is Kim Weber. My daughter Katie is a 2019 graduate from Irmo High School and is currently attending Winthrop University on an academic and athletic scholarship. My youngest daughter Allie's a sophomore at Irmo High and somehow manages to play on the golf team. I am also the proud president of the Irmo High School PTSO, and I wanted to share with you the success of our Irmo Strong virtual 5K event that we held in November. This community building event promoted health and wellness among staff, students, families, and the community while raising money for the Irmo High School PTSO as well as our 8 feeder schools. It was so nice to see that during this time of social distancing, our community found a way to come together for one common goal. They encouraged, challenged, supported, and motivated each other to join in the fun. In fact, I brought each of you a little Cersei from our event that Ms. Strange has that she'll give to you at the end of the night. I encourage you to stay actively involved in all the schools, but especially in all the wonderful things that are happening at Irmo High School. In conclusion, I really wanted to thank the district communications staff for really helping us promote our event. They pushed it out on social media and sent it to all the areas. So thank you for your time and have a good night.
Thank you. That concludes our public participation. I had a request from one board member for a restroom break, but I don't know if I know it's a long meeting. Do you want to not miss anything, Mr. Lovelace or Mr. Hogan? Anybody like a restroom break? Are we okay? You would? Okay. 5 minutes. Now don't go away because the second part of this show is probably very interesting. 5 minute recess.